Hello there, this is Ty the Movie Guy, and I hope everyone had a great Christmas, New Year's, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. I know I sure did. I got this super cool Invincible calendar for Christmas. If you don't know, one of my obsessions every year is getting a new calendar, specifically so I can write new movie releases and series and all that fun stuff. So this year we will be rocking an Invincible calendar, and I cannot wait to just stare at the different months and the different movie releases upcoming and different stuff like that. So with all that said, today we will be counting down my 10 favorite movies of 2025. So with all that said, let's get into it.
Why are you son of a great power comes great responsibility.
My brother and a
You do this all day. I am Iron Man. Why so serious?
Now I am the comeback, the destroyer of worlds.
Coming in 10th place, we have the live action How to Train Your Dragon movie. And prior to watching this movie, if you were to tell me this movie would make it into my top 10 of the year, I probably would have backhand slapped you across the face. Because if you didn't know, I am one of the biggest haters of the Disney live action remakes. They're just the greediest, laziest, money milking off of your nostalgia-ist movies of all time. I just despise them so much. And this movie is basically, the exact same premise. Take a nostalgic animated film and make a live action version. But what this movie does so much better than the Disney movies is it's just very faithful to the original, like beat for beat. And prior to going into it, I thought, this could be like a problem. It could just be kind of boring. But I think just like a movie like this of riding dragons and stuff like that just works really well in live action. And it is very beat for beat to the original, but I didn't really have a problem with that whatsoever. And opposed to like the Disney movies where they like tweak things and change things and everything, they just always manage to make it worse. But yeah, this one, just keeping it beat for beat the same, just made the movie as good as the original. And prior to watching this movie, I didn't really think I had too much nostalgia to How to Train Your Dragon whatsoever, because like it's not even one of my favorite DreamWorks movies. But I think because I didn't have Disney Channel growing up as a kid, we had like a channel in Canada called YTV and Teletoon, and they played lots of DreamWorks movies. So How to Train Your Dragon did play a lot when I was a kid, so I felt so much nostalgia I didn't even know I had, like specifically like the first flight scene with like the amazing score and everything, like almost brought me to tears, and I just had like crazy goosebumps the whole time. So yeah, I was very, very surprised like how much this movie won me over, and I'm really excited for the sequel. And I'm also hoping they do number 3, and then like I've said before, cap it off there. I think the How to Train Your Dragons movies work really well in live action, and then other DreamWorks like Megamind, Kung Fu Panda, Shrek, Trolls, different stuff like that, I don't think it would work as well. So yeah, I say do How to Train Your Dragon, and then stop while you're on a win and don't keep milking it like Disney has been doing. So that is why How to Train Your Dragon has made it to 10th place. Coming in 9th place, we have Predator Badlands. And I'm a big fan of the Predator franchise, but I was a little skeptical about this film because this is the first in the franchise to have a Predator lead and a PG-13 rating. But as soon as the movie started, those worries basically washed away from me. Having a Predator in the lead was actually really, really cool to see, to learn more about their culture and how much honor means to them and all of that cool stuff. And then also the PG-13 rating wasn't that bad at all because there's no humans in this film. They were able to get away with like rated R things like blood and gore because there was no human blood. It was all like white synthetic blood or green Yautja blood. So yeah, you can do like rated R things in this PG-13 movie because there's no humans. So yeah, the PG-13 rating wasn't that bad whatsoever, except for the humor felt a little juvenile with like Thea and that little monkey thing. It kind of gave off like, Marvel kitty humor. So that's like probably my biggest nitpick of the film. But, you know, that's like very nitpicky and a very minor thing in the film. The movie in general was really, really cool. And it gave off like a big video game vibe, which I consider is like a really big compliment. Your protagonist on a new planet taking on different monsters, trying to get to the main monster to prove his honor, with a sidekick on your back explaining the whole world to you and different plants and different monsters and stuff like that. All feels very video game-esque. Throughout the film, he learns about different plants and stuff about the world and then uses it to his advantage. In the end of the film, it felt a lot like the original Predator film in that sense, like, you know, using your surroundings and your environment to take on your prey. And they definitely set up a sequel in the ending of the film, which I'm really hoping they're gonna follow through with, taking on the mother predator and all that cool stuff, and, you know, maybe even tie in the killer of killers characters and the prey girl and all that cool stuff. Yeah, I'm really excited if they hopefully are gonna do a sequel. I think this film did do pretty good in theaters and made a bunch of money. So yeah, I'm definitely expecting a really cool sequel to this film where they kind of like combine all these different films and put all these characters together in this cool Avengers kind of team up Predator film. So all in all, that's why this film comes in 9th place. Coming in 8th place, we have Mickey 17. And this film has a lot going for it, starting with my favorite international director, Bong Joon-ho. This is his first film after Parasite, you know, his magnum opus, his big Oscar winner and everything like that. So it was very exciting to see what he cooked up next and everything like that. And then also our lead actor, Robert Pattinson. He is just one of my favorite active actors right now. Ever since he was in Tenet and The Batman, I've always been excited to see what he's been putting out next recently. And then also, sci-fi is probably my favorite genre, so seeing a new original sci-fi film like that is always really, really exciting. And this is just such a unique concept, trying to like find a new planet to live on and using clones to explore different planets to make sure it's safe or not. And then what happens when one of the clones survives and then they make another one and then there's two clones, but of course neither of them wants to die. It's like a big no-no that they're both around, and then they take on Mark Ruffalo's dictatorship regime and all of that fun stuff. So yeah, this movie just kind of feels like it was made for me, just like, you know, sci-fi, great actor, great director, great concept, all that fun stuff. And then also, I just want to go back to Robert Pattinson again. Usually he's known for more serious roles and different stuff like that, so, but this was definitely more of like a comedic role for him. So I just really liked seeing him in a unique role like this and all that. And then just the humor in general was very quirky and just like what Bong Joon-ho is known for. So yeah, all in all, this was just like such a great mashup of like actor, director, genre, plot, and all of that fun stuff. Really great film from Bong Joon-ho, and I can't wait to see what he makes next. So that's why this film comes in 8th place. Coming in 7th place, we have One Battle After Another, and this is just an absolute roller coaster of a film from beginning to end that basically never lets up throughout the whole film. It was just, yeah, absolutely crazy the entire time. And of course, we got to talk about our lead in Leonardo DiCaprio, one of my favorite actors of all time. Every new movie he puts out, I absolutely have to check out, because, you know, every like couple years he'll just do one movie a year, just because, you know, he's that good of an actor that he only wants to work with the best of talent. And in this role, he plays a very funny role in this kind of stoner dad who wears like a bathrobe the whole time, and he's just trying to find his daughter, and yeah, he's just really funny throughout this whole film, trying to find his daughter and everything like that. And then also our antagonist, Colonel Lockjaw, played by Sean Penn. He's also really menacing and intimidating, but really funny at the same time. Like, there's lots of like videos of him online where he'll just be like, "You like black girls? I love them.
You like black girls? I love them. I love them."
Just like stuff like that is just hilarious coming from him. So yeah, he makes for a great antagonist throughout the film, and he's just got like such a weird mannerisms to him, just like the way he walks and everything like that is just super, super funny and all of that. There's certain scenes in this film that are just like so memorable. Of course, the final scene at the end with like the car chase and the way they filmed the chase in like the windy roads and everything is just something I've never seen before, and really, really unique and cool. And then also what comes to mind is the church scene where the daughter is meeting Colonel Lockjaw for the first time. Just the score in that scene, like throughout the whole film, it's like kind of this like piano tone, which is kind of cool, but also gets kind of annoying. But specifically that church scene, I remember it gets like really intense. It's like dun, dun, just like something like that is just really, really cool and really, really memorable. The only like negatives to the film is it's a little long. You know, it's like almost like 3 hours long. That's pretty long for a movie. You can kind of like feel it in the movie a little bit, but all in all, I think it made for like a really, really cool film, and that's why it comes in 7th place. Coming in 6th place, we have Sinners, and this is probably the most unique film on this entire list, about a black community who puts on a party and then they get invaded by vampires, and it's in like the early 1900s-ish, I'd say, and it also has like this very unique, interesting tie to music. Of course, the most like crazy, cool, interesting scene happens like roughly kind of in the middle of the scene, where it shows like a bunch of different like musicians throughout the years, and there's even like a rock star there, even though like it makes no sense, but it also just makes for such a cool scene. And then also like the score of the film, and then also like the actual songs within the film are super, super cool. Of course, our composer Ludwig Göransson, one of the best composers of all time, and then also some of the other songs that the actual characters in the film sing are really, really great songs, and I have them on my playlists and everything like that. And yeah, it's just such a cool film that it's a Western, it's a horror, it's also about a black community and like their struggles with racism, and there's like KKK at the end of the film and all of that. It's just so much that like wouldn't really make the most sense, but like just meld so well together into this film. And I'd say my only problem with this film is I'd say I think it took a little too long to get going. I love the start of the film, but I find once the vampires actually showed up in the nighttime and then they fought them all and then they won and everything, it felt a little fast. I kind of wish it like either like they stretched out the night, or it took place over like several different nights and like the vampires like showed up sooner or stuff like that. So that's like my little problem with the film, but that's pretty minor. And then also I want to briefly talk about a couple of the actors. Of course, Michael B. Jordan, our lead, he plays a really good character, actually 2 characters, which was really, really cool. The one like human character, and then he also plays a vampire, so it's really cool seeing him on both sides as a good guy and a bad guy. And then also Haley Steinfeld was great in this film, and also her as a vampire was pretty freaky, if you know what I mean.
We're gonna kill every last one of you.
All in all, a really great, unique film. Just really, really cool to see in theaters. And just, yeah, goes to show you that unique films are still out there, and we need to support films like this to get more great, unique stuff like this. So all in all, that's why this film comes in 6th place. Coming in 5th place, we have Fantastic Four: First Steps. And I am very happy to say that we finally have a good, definitive Fantastic Four movie. It has been way long overdue, but yeah, they finally cracked the code on the Fantastic Four. And starting off with our cast, everyone was pretty skeptical regarding the cast, but you know, they actually did a really great job in their respective roles, and you really buy into their family aspect and how much they care for each other, and they're not willing to give up one another to even if it means saving the entire world. And then also the entire 60s vibe of this film was really, really cool. Me personally, I was very skeptical about like disconnecting this from like the main MCU timeline, because if you do that, like then what's the point of even calling it the MCU? Like obviously it's gonna like bridge into Doomsday later, but like it just kind of feels weird being like the first film outside of the MCU officially, I guess, aside from Deadpool and Wolverine. But like now that like after seeing the film and like seeing how they can like do tons of their own things with like the 60s style and everything like that, I totally forgive them on that, and I think it was like a great choice and all of that. And then also our main villain in Galactus was really, really cool and menacing. To see him in his proper comic form with the purple and the big crown and not like a stupid cloud was also really, really cool. And then also Chalabal, Silver Surfer, was also really, really cool. Throughout the whole film, there's like a big sense of dread of just like how do we stop Galactus, and like what can we do to stop him if like we try to move the Earth or we try to move Galactus and then that doesn't work and then they finally get it to happen. It's just all really, really cool to see. And then also in the middle of the film there is a really cool space sequence that's very kind of Interstellar-esque, like regarding like a black hole, was really, really cool to see. And then also of course the end credits scene of the film with Doctor Doom teasing Doomsday. It just really feels like the good old days of like, you know, proper post-credit scene that we actually know is going to lead to something, not like before where they'll tease something and then like nothing ever happens of it. But this is a proper tease that we know we are going to see continued in Doomsday in December. So yeah, all in all, I'm very happy that they have done justice to Marvel's first family, and I'm very excited to see how this leads into Doomsday in December. So that's why this film comes in 5th place. Coming in 4th place, we have The Thunderbolts, and this movie just barely inches out the Fantastic Four. But what I love about this film over Fantastic Four is just how they, you know, set up different characters in different films and series. You know, Winter Soldier and US Agent, they were in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then Yelena and Red Guardian, they were in Black Widow, or I guess Taskmaster was in there too, but you know, they killed her right away. And then Ghost was in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I love how they just set up different characters and then put them together in a team up movie like this. It just really reminds me of the first Avengers, how they were all set up in their respective movies to be brought together. So yeah, this just, yeah, felt so much like the first Avengers film in that sense, but with such a cool, unique twist to it, with like how all these characters have so much depression and loss and regret and loneliness, and it just made for such a interesting aspect to the film, and just, you know, like had a relatability to everyone in their own depression and regret and loss and everything like that. And our villain in The Void is a perfect villain for a cast like this, who can put you into a dream world where you have to live out your nightmare. They go together perfectly in that sense. And then also a bunch of the other characters that I love, you know, Red Guardian, Yelena, US Agent, Winter Soldier. Yeah, just seeing all of them come back was really, really exciting. And then also our final post-credit scene at the end teasing the Fantastic Four. Like I said when I just talked about Fantastic Four, it actually feels like you're building towards something, like unlike the past where they tease something and then it goes nowhere. Like, it's just so much more satisfying when you know it's actually building to something and you know something is coming up. It just really feels like the good old days. And yeah, these two Marvel films just get me so excited for Doomsday. So all in all, that's why this film comes in 4th place. Coming in 3rd place, we have the F1 movie, and this is kind of just a plain and simple, tried and true dad sports movie that we just don't get enough of anymore, about like an underdog story about like a guy trying to reclaim his fame from back in the day. And I think Brad Pitt, one of my favorite actors of all time, perfectly embodies this type of character. That's just probably because, you know, he's a great actor, so he can basically take on any role. But yeah, I think he's just perfect in this role. Joseph Kosinski, our director, coming off of Top Gun Maverick, is just great at shooting scenes like this. Doesn't matter if it's with a jet or a car, just the racing scenes are so cool and thrilling to see. Probably like some of the best racing scenes in any film, just because of his such a unique and like visceral, realistic feeling of racing, because, you know, they actually did race these cars and strap cameras on those cars and different things like that. Just make for really, really cool scenes like that. And of course, we have to mention our composer Hans Zimmer. Back when I talked about this film in June, I was a little harsh on Hans Zimmer because, you know, I was saying it's no Inception or Dark Knight or Interstellar, which is true. This score definitely isn't as good as his previous work. Compared to like any regular composer, this is still like phenomenal composing and one of the best scores of the entire year. So I feel like I was a little bit too harsh on him back in that previous video, but this, yeah, still a great score from Hans Zimmer, just not his best work. All in all, we just need more like kind of plain and simple racing action movies like this, and that's why this film comes in third place. Coming in second place, we have Rental Family, and this is probably the least talked about movie on this entire list because, you know, it's not some big budget action sci-fi movie. It's this very small scale drama about an actor in Japan who takes on a job where he plays different roles in people's lives, and it was just an absolute tearjerker of a movie. I cried at least like 3 times. It's just, I've never knew this was a thing in Japan, but yeah, apparently you can actually rent out people, not like a hooker of course, but yeah, you can rent out people to fill in for like if someone in your family has died or something like that, or yeah, just a missing person that you need in your life. The very first time he takes on this job and he plays a husband at a wedding, and they don't really like allude to why he's doing this at all. It's a little weird. It's like okay, why is he playing a husband just to get married but then never to meet her again? And then finally towards the end of that scene you finally realize because it's a lesbian couple, the parents of one of the women disapprove of that, and then it finally like clicks to you. It's like, oh, that's why this actually exists. As the character realizes his purpose in this job, you as the audience also realize at the same time like what the whole purpose of this type of job is. And then so in this film there's kind of like 2 kind of different plots going on at the same time, where our lead is playing a writer or interviewing a director and learning about his life, and then also he's playing a father of this little girl who needs a father to get into like some fancy school. And the way all the trailers and everything, it definitely leaded you to believe that the father-daughter thing was like the primary plot of the film, and I'd say it definitely was. But in the film, every time it like jumped towards learning about this director and interviewing him and everything like that, I was kind of like, at first I was like, okay, this is kind of just like filler, can we get back to like the main plot? And then as it went on, it got like more and more interesting and everything like that, and then it actually became the better plot. I found it was just really thrilling and captivating and everything about how he like eventually took this director to the town he grew up in and then learns about his past and everything like that. Just had me bawling my eyes out. And then of course we have to talk about our lead actor, Brendan Fraser, one of my favorite actors of my childhood. Seeing like him in interviews online and everything like that, and seeing how like nice of a guy he is, getting his Oscar back in 2022. I think this is just basically like a perfect role for him, and he just like perfectly embodies like this just lovable, nice guy and everything like that. So yeah, all in all, if this film is not on your wavelength, definitely check it out if you're looking for a really good tearjerker, and that's why this film comes in second place. Coming in first place as my favorite movie of 2025, we have Superman, and I'm so happy to say that this movie has totally lived up to the hype. After years and years of the depressing Snyderverse Superman, we finally have our definitive, hopeful, optimistic Superman. And don't get me wrong, I actually did quite like Henry Cavill and Zack Snyder's portrayal of Superman, because, you know, that's what I grew up with, kind of not knowing this is what Superman was actually supposed to be like. So I'm so happy that James Gunn and David Cornsweet have created this new Superman, who is just like, you know, this Boy Scout of a man who's just wanting to save everyone. Doesn't matter if it's like a dog or a squirrel, he just wants to save everyone, and he just sees the good in everyone. It's just so hopeful and optimistic, and it just like kind of is so inspiring, and it's just made me and tons of other people try to be better people. And I just think that's just such a great message in the era we're in right now. And then also other things about the film is I love like seeing the different characters, you know, of course, Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, Lex Luthor, Green Lantern, Mr. Terrific, Hawkgirl, Metamorpho. Seeing all these different DC and Justice League character in this world is just so cool, like populating it already, just like right out the gate with our first movie, just makes it feel so lived in and like that superheroes have been around for such a long time. And this film is not afraid to, you know, have the comic book suit with the trunks and like have like big kaiju battles and pocket dimensions and different comic booky stuff like that is just really, really cool and fun to see. And then also there's just so many emotional scenes within this film, you know, regarding Clark talking to his dad.
I couldn't be more proud of you.
What it means to be human and his big monologue towards Lex Luthor, and then the final scene where he's watching family videos is just all just like Rental Family, just a huge tearjerker. Going back to the whole optimism thing, I briefly mentioned back in the summer that I did start a new job, which is obviously a great thing, but compared to my previous job that I've been doing for like 4 years now, I actually got like really good at the job I was doing. So I was kind of like laid back and I didn't really have much to worry about in that job. You know, I just kind of got comfortable. But in this new job, there's obviously so much more to learn and everything. And it being a trade job, it's kind of, you know, lots of the people there are like rough around the edges and there's lots to learn and stuff like that. So this is like the first time in quite some time where I felt very dumb at a job, and you know, you'd mess up every day and you just kind of like dwell on it and everything. It's good that I got this new job, but it's also sucks kind of like getting ragged on like every day regarding this new job. So with this new Superman movie coming out right around when I started this new job, it's kind of like actually helped me a lot just to stay positive through this job. For the first couple of years, I'm gonna have to keep going through struggling and learning and all of that, and it's gonna sound corny, but I think Superman actually did help me be hopeful and be optimistic and everything like that, and just like, you know, fight through it and everything like that.
I screw up all the time, but that is being human, and that's my greatest strength.
That's just a little personal thing, that connection I have to this film and everything like that. So yeah, I'm just so glad that the DCU has started on such a great foot, and I am so excited to see what else they're gonna put out this year with Supergirl, Lanterns, Clayface, and everything like that. So yeah, all in all, this is my favorite film of 2025, and I'm so excited to see the future of DCU. So that's about it. I'd love to hear some of your favorite films of 2025, and farewell.